Yes.
Hi, Ryan and Chase. Can you hear us okay?
We did move 500 miles to have to drive to.
Can you hear us okay?
Okay, so there is something.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank-
a couple different voices talking.
What was that? Yeah, there's just people chatting. I just thought I'd start it up so we can see, you guys can think, you can.
Hi, Ann.
what's going on.
Hey,
Understood.
Glasses, I'm in
What?
the market for some
Are you
new
traveling right
glasses.
now?
I thought they are so stylish.
I absolutely love them.
And Denise, I think I'm in your district, but I have no idea because the map didn't work.
Right.
I live on Woodbridge. Is this the map? of
No,
the
it's
district?
not.
No.
And we don't have a big map. of
Here,
the
I just got a
districts.
packet. I bet there's one in here. Yes, there it is.
That doesn't show that many streets, but
No, it's not a great map, but
Can you find Montana Avenue?
That
think that would be-
Well,
I think this is Montana, don't you?
it's
Oh,
got.
it might be two then. I must be in two.
I know, this
So
is.
this is where I am.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go.
Okay,
You're
you're in my district. Up to the way, where do you live? I think this is it's similar. It's
Yeah,
our
it's a
boundary.
little-
I
it
live
is.
on.
Peggy, thank you for the minutes.
So.
I thought, well,
No, that's
what if you didn't want to say? Emily wasn't there, so I figured. let's-
No, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And I did tell Lori about this part.
Very good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't redo the QR. Everybody wants me to join.
Jackie's in my
Charge.
contact and
Safeguards is helping me find one that doesn't.
Oh, Hannah.
I know, darn it. I developed two and then
She
they
had
go.
books tonight with Jackie, I did. Did she have big tonight? I think it was, I called her to say.
Would make it free. I used to know one. and-
No,
None of them are free. I don't want to.
Maybe. Yeah, Mark.
So it might not have our logo in it, might just be really plain.
But I.
That's okay. As long as it works for
Years and.
eternity, I don't want to get that involved. She did a lot of,
Volunteer work.
it's just like streaming, everybody's charging.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I don't think she is. I think she's doing some other things with that.
I was gonna show this to you.
Well, Ann's gonna have all the great ideas for for this group.
Well, yeah, that's what I hear. That's what your daughter said.
We don't anticipate it, but I did put room for nominations.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so that's,
Do you want, are you handing all that out? No.
yeah, but in Diana, because it's supposed to be a project.
Well, I'm chair at the moment.
I'll give you one now. And I'll give one else. So I didn't know if I'd see you. You put up in California?
I'm not available. I should be there.
Yeah, I wanted to hear about it. What's that?
Fired.
Oh, yeah. No, you're not. You're a little bit.
Wish I was there.
Are you gonna help me?
Yeah.
You gonna-
Can I just pull?
Yeah, somebody probably has, there probably has to be a second person. Or Denise.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm
Bill wins.
on there, I should count.
What was that?
If I'm on here, I don't know if I should count.
Terrorist.
Yeah.
Dream, I guess.
I mean, out.
It's not
Well, that's the- that of-
like Japanese. Knows how their balloons are appropriate.
We're in our little new yard.
They sent
Yeah, that's
a
it.
ton of balloons over here. And that's
Nancy did
right.
notice the blues didn't match, and I said, well, Action Print's gonna have to deal with it. Yeah,
I think they can fix that.
they can, I couldn't,
Sheila.
It's Nancy. Oh,
yeah,
it's
she
just with it. Nancy coming in first.
I couldn't get,
So my God.
the correct font either for the business card, but
I know.
so they'll have to do it. For some hell vendor, but it was some other thing that I don't have.
Settled in.
You know,
Oh, well.
It's not like it's going straight from one.
Hi, Nancy.
Somebody's sitting here. And so I didn't put your pictures on the recommendation, just to take paper. On the copy was. Well, everyone should have looked at it before they arrested you.
That's quite all right.
Because I'm going to go to great. What was that? I would bore everybody with my description. They don't have to.
Yeah, they do.
I didn't bring my either.
If there's no coordinations.
She left me 89 copies of each. Oh, I'm being a smart.
So in other words, we've got-
Shall I hand them? Are they going?
I think I remember that.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Bob,
I made it. Looks like the chair.
copy of the.
Oh, yeah. We're going to the distance. As we we're all. So 6 of quick. Everyone's me. Why don't I read it again? Go off. Solicit. Any other. Be very well. It about remains not also. There's no significant thing. The valve would be.
Hi, John, are you gonna make it?
No, I'm great. Do you need
Thank you.
You're looking awful spiffy today. Yeah. Whatever place, I'll see it there and then I can upgrade.
I'm not into the meeting, but I just don't have the capabilities, so do I need to do something else to be able to vote?
Yeah, did you log in with the webinar or as a participant? I don't see your name. I don't see your name yet.
But so I'll get out and try to get back in, so if you give me the capabilities. Okay. Yeah.
I did. Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks.
Right.
I think I would. That I do. That will sleep in.
I know.
No shorts. No shorts. Oh, it's a rarity. It's warming up. Yeah, it's from the double. We'll start moving forward. I don't know what the weather's like.
Something's probably up. Yeah. Tomorrow. Really wants it. It's one I kind of do. Just so you know, I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. I already signed what I was supposed to do, so.
Perfect.
No, you I thought. Are you in? I am. Oh, yeah, Nancy. Hey, Nancy. Hi. Thank you. Yeah, yes, you do. That's right. I think for neighbors, I saw you.
What sweeter you
Hi,
want?
Janet.
9.
Are you?
I'm
Well, no,
I mean, we're on
the
north,
corner.
more
I live
ninth
just
and
not like-
So
So are you up the hill from?
Basically.
Yeah. So we actually was one of that, not also between us, but because of the law.
Yeah.
I have a zero copy, so you can talk with Rick. It's fairly.
I'll find him.
Hey, I can bring you.
You know, he. We have some of our HCC. What's in there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's, I'm saying. There are.
Oh, yeah. So beautiful, I just. It's stunning, you know, it's like you come from. If you wanna do it, like it stays warm at night, keep the snow.
So I have family in Florida and New Orleans, so they really look about 6 inches of snow, and I said, oh, you wussies.
Oh, but they are, they're not ready for.
Oh, they have no plows or nobody has snow tires.
It melts really, really fast.
It's pretty funny. What you
I
got?
got.
It's funny. It's funny, but nothing.
In Florida, I think it's the idea of it frightens people because they think,
Did everybody get a ballot?
I don't know.
Okay, you just stay home. That's what they do in Kansas. Shut everything down for a week. And then it rains and it's gone. They don't even shovel. I mean, people don't even shovel their water. We're out there shoveling. Stupid. It's gone.
If it's uncontested.
We're out there playing in it and everything inside.
Time to do this.
Okay.
I'll tell them.
Like this.
Yeah. Oh, just.
And not plowed, hardly, and just, and they.
Well, it's good to have.
Where was that? Down by Sun Valley. And then-
That's why I said, say, hey, do I?
So,
So just hand it to me and I'll.
we were down there spoiled.
All right, it is 7 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. I usually have phone.
Yes, it's me.
All right, so with that, I will entertain discussion on the minutes from November. If there's no discussion, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
I move to approve.
Second.
I need to know who said that. Oh, I didn't. Okay. And who?
Lori. Lori, second.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to approve November's minutes as they stand. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right, at this point, we will call for public comment on non-agenda items. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
Ask Chase if you had a message he just raised.
Jace, were you voting? Okay, he's just voting.
Okay.
All right, seeing no public comment, we will move on. Are there any city commissioners online?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next, I just wanted to inform everybody, I moved to District 4. There was an opening there, so they just appointed me in that spot and I continued to serve. So I'm now a part of District 4. And moving on into the next agenda item, District 2 has chosen Ann Houserath to be appointed as the next District 2 member. So I will swear you in now. Do you want to come up here?
You can wave to the camera so they know you.
All right, raise your right hand. I state your name.
Sorry.
I state your name.
I, Ann Houserath,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Montana,
the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Helena,
and the Governor's ordinance of the State of Helena,
and that I will discharge the duties of the office of
and I will discharge the duties of the office
the Helena Citizens Council
of the Helena Citizens Council
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Retired.
All right, so moving on, we'll move into officer elections. Denise, would you mind giving a report?
Sure. So you all saw that we have a slate of candidates. Chair, Betty Piper, co-chair, Sandegal, Diana Hammer, secretary, and Lori Fitzgerald, treasurer. We did go through a process where we called all the members and asked if they wanted to consider running for an officer position. At this point in time, we didn't have anybody besides these four, but if we can ask at this point for nominations from the floor, if anyone else would like to be considered for any of these four positions.
If there are any floor nominations for any of the four positions, we'll entertain them now.
I have a comment, not a nomination. It's actually vice chair, not co-chair.
Oh. Did I write it down right?
Yeah, just for
I'm sorry.
clarification, we'll have vice chair nominees on the go. All right, seeing no more nominations, that will close nominations.
Okay. And then at this point, what we do is we ask each candidate to just briefly introduce yourself and say why you want to hold your position. So we'll start with Ben.
Okay. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I was appointed chair in summer of 23. When I became chair, I wanted to kind of help with the issues that we were having with communication with the commission at the time. And I started going to all their meetings. It helped me kind of understand exactly how the city operates and how the commissioners operate. And I wanted to really establish a good communication between our two bodies. And I think that we've been making a lot of progress on that front. So I'd like to continue to serve as chair so that we can continue to improve our relations with the commission and hopefully have some things set in stone for eventually when I leave. So
Sandra?
He can't leave.
Yeah, because that's the reason why I'm vice chair. He's young.
So, I would like to continue as vice chair for you guys in case Ben ever needs me to fill in. And I think HHC, I really am involved in HHC because I think citizens need a voice and to help the commission use us in a better frame of mind, I think is something that's my goal, is to figure out how we can actually be more effective and they can use us in the way we're intended. So that's the reason why I stayed in the position.
Okay. Well, I'm Diana Hammer. I'd like to continue as secretary. I enjoyed being on the outreach committee, which is a duty of the secretary, and I've enjoyed serving with this particular slate of officers. I think we work together well, and I'm really encouraged that we are making progress with the city commission. I feel that in the past year, we've made some really good recommendations, and I'd like to continue to contribute to the HCC in the role of secretary if you'll have.
And I'm Lori Fitzgerald. I've been on the HCC for a year now, and when I started, I was elected treasurer, and I feel like I can probably handle that better this year. We had a good budget committee, and I thought we did a good part. The main job of the treasurer is to, track our small budget, but also make recommendations to the commission on city budget. So it's kind of a crunch time sort of process, and I think we had a good product and they liked it. And even though we don't have a lot that we can recommend on, we do our best and we attend the meetings and support the things that we feel like our group and our constituents are interested in. So I'd be happy to be treasurer again this year.
Thanks. Okay, so at this point in time, we do have ballots, but since there is no contest, we actually, I'm looking at the election of officers procedure. And as it says, if the ballot remains uncontested and there are no significant dissenting opinions, which we've not heard, toward any of the candidates, then the nominating committee chairman, which is myself, may declare the ballot accepted via acclamation due to unanimous consent. So.
Okay. Before we do that, I want to call for public comment in case there are any members of the public. Are there any members of the public on?
No.
Thank you.
Janet has.
Looks
her
like,
hand.
hey, Ben. Looks like
Janet.
Janet had her hand up. Janet Zimmerman.
Yeah, she's just had some difficult time hearing, but is getting some hearing aids. I can't move the webinar chat over to where you guys can't see it either, so I might have to ask you to leave the room if they.
Well, I don't think, Peggy, that we're gonna have an election.
Okay.
So given that there's no contest and no strong dissenting opinions about anybody currently on the slate. So I get to then declare you now as elected officers.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you to the nominating committee for all of your work. Appreciate it. All right, so with that, we'll move into officer reports. I just wanted to mention a few meetings that are going on tomorrow. There's a special city commission meeting where they're discussing the charter with the local government committee. If anyone wants to go to that, feel free. I won't be able to make it out of a previous engagement that I can't get out of. So if one of the executives can go, in case the HCC does get brought up, that would be helpful. But if any of the general council members want to go as well, you're also invited.
Janet Zimmerman did. Are you still planning on going to that, Janet?
Yes, I am.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
It'll be Zoom if that's okay.
Yeah, that should be fine.
That's fine. Thank you.
And then
You're welcome.
to be another meeting at the same time, which is 5 p.m. tomorrow, discussing the land use plan. The League of Women Voters is putting that on. It's at the library. If I would like, if you are available to go to that and kind of listen to the presentations that are getting brought forth by the city planners.
And Ann Hasrath is going.
Okay, great. And I was asked that to ask you all that if you are going to please wear a name tag that identifies yourself as a Helena Citizens Council member. They wanted to have you easily identifiable in case any citizens had some input. So with that, go ahead.
Do you know how this relates to the Helena Forward work at all? Is there any?
Kind of the same thing. I didn't know why they were having yet another open house, but maybe they're.
Is it the same though? That's what I'm wondering.
I think so, but I think they're trying to generate a little more public input or a little more public understanding. But Anne or Mary, could you elaborate on that?
On the leagues, no, the short answer is no, because I don't know. I think it's the same thing, but I'll tell you after tomorrow.
Well, the reason why I wonder is because a few of us on HCC have agreed to, represent HCC on this committee, the Helena Forward. And I'd never heard anything about this meeting. Bob sent me a newspaper clipping, and that's so. And then the way the article led was based on under a new state law, Helena must update its land use plan and zoning codes.
We did know that. That was
No,
the
I
whole
know.
reason it got started. Yeah.
I really have to wonder if there's any overlap or if these are two distinct things talking about the same thing.
So my understanding of this is that it's exactly the same as Helena Forward. The Director Brink's going to be there to explain what's going on. I don't think the point is to gather feedback. I think the feedback portion is over. So I believe they're just going over the process and the plan moving forward. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we did send a few weeks ago a flyer for it.
I did.
Perhaps that wasn't. Did that went to everybody, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So we were just asked to inform the rest of the council about the event. So
And perhaps the league is going through the legality of why the state made us do that and what we've done and why the city's doing. That's my.
We also talked about this a little bit at the outreach committee meeting, and we're speculating that maybe it was just to raise general awareness, but there's also the county planning, land use planning effort that's going on. So maybe it would be interesting to know if they talk about that as well. And then we also mentioned that the draft from, based on all the public input from last fall, is probably due sometime this late winter, early spring. So maybe they're talking about the timing of, look for this and you'll be able to comment on that, and the final will be done in the fall. So maybe, I don't know, we were all just speculating on what is this? I don't know.
Just for my records, if you're planning on going to that League of Women Voters event, can you raise your hand, please? And if you're going to the commission meeting, that's at the same time, raise your hand.
That's Janet.
Is that here?
Okay. Yes, it's an admin meeting. It'll be right here. These are both at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Okay.
And I did talk to the clerk regarding that meeting. They're not anticipating making any changes to the charter. They're just reaffirming again through what passed with the legislature, what rules you have to follow for meetings. Yeah.
Okay.
So when they get everything approved, I will send it out to everyone as well.
You know what bills they are?
Oh, it was from the last session, so I don't know.
Okay, so with that, that's all I have. Move into vice chair.
Can I interrupt for a second, Ben?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't find where to raise my hand, so I apologize, but I just wanted to make a point that at the Planning Commission meeting on February 5th, they're going to be doing basically the same thing. I think Chris Brink is going to do, along with the consultant, an update to the Helena Forward land use plan. So I'm going to be attending that. So it's kind of redundant to overlap with the League of Women Voters. So, and I assume that you'll be attending the Planning Commission meeting also.
Was that a question for me?
Well, I guess that was just a rhetorical statement.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know if I have that on my calendar yet, but I'll try to be there. Okay. Any questions on chair report?
How did the town hall meeting go? I didn't wake up Thursday. That's the thing. Or didn't you?
Oh, yes, sorry. I completely forgot about this a week ago. Seems like 3 months ago.
I feel like come and listen, but I didn't wake up and like not waking up.
I did a very short presentation on what the HCC is and how citizens can get involved with us at Hometown Helena on January 9th. And it went over really well. I think the onus is on us a little bit to kind of get the word out that we exist and we're a viable function of local government that citizens can take their issues to. And I wanted to make it clear that they can go straight to the commission, but if they come to us first and we find a viable solution to their problem, it kind of helps their issue when we send a recommendation to the commission, because it's basically a rubber stamp of 28 other people that are involved in local government and realize it's an issue. So if you do hear anything about citizens wanting to get more involved, just continue to kind of make that pitch to them. So did we lose our Zoom?
No, I'm just moving this
Okay.
document.
All right. With that, we'll move into vice chair report.
I have nothing to report.
Secretary.
I have the outreach committee report. And thank you, Peggy, for writing such nice notes. We are just kind of on that topic. We are actively working on some outreach items, some yard signs, maybe a little tote bag. Those real tiny collapsible tote bags that you can stick in your pocket. They're easier to remember to bring because they're so small. We're looking at making some of those with the HCC logo. And then yard signs that would say, people can't really see it here. It's just a small picture, but HCC with the QR code and just describing that, what we are. And this would be to replace the ones that say, talk to me, a citizens council member lives here. But we're yellow and green, and these will be blue and yellow, which is consistent with the other things, other items that we have. And we'll have these materials along with new business cards will have the correct new phone number. So working on that. And then we talked about having doing a water bill insert in March. Peggy's working with the transportation department to see if they would come so we could have, at our September open house meeting, we heard over and over about walkable, bikeable transportation issues. And so we wanted to have a follow-up in March to talk about transportation issues. And so if we can get the City Department of Transportation to come, so Peggy's working on getting them an agenda so the city manager can approve the city staff taking that time. But if not, we could still have the open house and talk about transportation issues, even if they're not there. So that's one thing that we were talking about. And then maybe an outreach meeting on budget May when we finally have budget information. So that's what we talked about.
And are you going to talk about transportation? Correct, this Friday as well, for a topic.
So that's all I have.
For transportation, they do have this new LiDAR system that makes 3D images, I believe, with the drone. I'm not really sure how it all works. But they also just received an abundance of grant monies. So I think both those topics would be interesting to hear of how that will correlate with how we want connectivity in our community and sidewalks and
Treasurer?
Excuse me. So we haven't spent anything since the last time I reported, but our budget for the HCC, for everyone's interest, is $2,450. And we have, when we did the open house, we spent some money and approved, like, for the water bill and the other things that Diana was talking about, the tote bags and whatnot, but we have not. So currently we have a balance of $2,082 that we can spend. And we should try to spend before the end of the fiscal year so they don't swipe it. But we did talk about the new business cards that'll have the correct phone number and a new URL code on, or not code, but URL. And that we're guessing would be about $150. So if we can approve that to be taken out of our budget, we have plenty.
do you want to make a motion to approve just so we have it in minutes?
Yeah, we were asked to approve expenses going forward just for transparency's sake. So if somebody would like to make a motion to approve that expense.
I move that we make the expenses that Lori has described.
I second.
And that was 100.
It was 150 is what we're thinking. So Peggy, thanks.
There was a motion by Perry, right?
Yes.
Who seconded?
Diana.
Diana. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Anything else, Lori?
People start thinking about being on the budget committee if you want to. I know it's early, but it's, a short period that we need to work together. So think about it if you're interested.
Could you give hints, like what are the topics, and we could pick out the topics we would like to learn about, that we would like to write about?
Yes. Well, it's kind of all that we have major department, and I don't have our last
Do you
report.
do it by
but
department?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
basically. And we could look at the old one and I could just highlight that next time or something,
Okay.
the different things that we looked at.
That would be-
And mainly there wasn't a lot of recommendations on that. We went to their meetings and supported things that they wanted to do. Mainly we had some comments on what was left over, like what was that called, operating budget. There was some stuff that we suggested what to do with that, but
Okay.
but we can talk about that next time. I can bring that, just I briefly go over it.
Lori, what's our timeline for this, like between now and May?
Well, all the meetings it seemed to be in May. We're trying to, I don't know, I kind of wanted to get a meeting or something with financial people to see if we could get a little bit more of a head start on it before it's already decided what each department wants to request.
Right. Because long time ago, we used to be able to sit in on the department meetings just to
Right.
listen in. That since has been gone, taken away.
Right.
But by the time we give comments in May, it's too late.
So I'm just trying to figure out if there's any way we can. And we have talked in the past about coming up with, rather than looking at the city's proposed budget and responding to it, we could also start thinking about what are our budget needs and wants and propose those in advance of their department meetings. So
Like ours being the HCC or ours being what?
the
Public
HCC,
law.
the HCC.
So have you asked the mayor and the commission if you can sit in on the meetings, and have they said no?
So we have asked to have conversations with department heads prior to these administrative meetings. We have been told no every time.
That was by the mayor and the commission?
This is by the city manager. The
Have
city
you asked to speak to the mayor and the commission about this?
by proxy through the city manager, yes, because the city manager handles all of that. His reasoning for not allowing us to discuss the budget with department heads is because the commission doesn't see any of the numbers before these administrative meetings. And their argument was that we shouldn't be able to before it's public information for the commission. And we have had conversations, many conversations, and we're trying to find a viable situation that works between both of us. But right now we just haven't come up with one yet. Sorry for that kind of non-answer, but we're working on it.
Yeah, I mean, can I just add?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Denise is right. I mean, with previous city managers, we have had more early and more access, but the current city manager manages all the staff and he decides. And so he said no, and like Ben says, we can't see before this commission does. So even though through best efforts to try and get information early, we haven't been able to, which puts us in such a difficult position because, like Denise also said, things are pretty much decided in the 90% design, or here's our final budget, and then we're trying to comment. So it's such a tight window. So it's very difficult. And given it's one of HCC's main functions is to advise the city on the budgets, I find it frustrating.
And I realize
Okay.
I'm the new kid on the block, so I apologize, but as an outsider, it just seems totally obvious to me to ask to have a meeting with the mayor and the commission, because this is a matter of policy. And they can decide. Right.
And they will say that that's when we attend the public meetings in May. That's how we provide feedback to the commissioners. And that is correct, actually.
Their concern is that they can't order the city manager. They can't influence him on how to operate or how to manage staff. They can make policy decisions, but they can't tell them how to run the city. And that's what they've been telling me when I ask to get more involved with this stuff. They don't want to cross that boundary with him, but I don't know. I think there's avenues to maybe figure out a better way to do this, and we're open to ideas for sure.
So I still think that we could do two things, right? We need to react to their budget that we see in May, right? And go to the admin meetings and we need to provide feedback on what they're proposing. But I still believe prior to that, we can be proactive as well. And so maybe at the February meeting and perhaps even at the March, we have two agenda items or both meetings, we have an agenda item where HCC members can bring forth budget ideas that we then take to the city commission and the mayor and say, these are the things we're interested in for the budget. Now, I'm promoting this. I don't have any personally, but I'm trying to figure out a way for us to be proactive as well as reactive. So one of the ways we can do it is present to the commission our budget goals in advance, as well as the city manager. Say, this is what we'd like to see in your budget proposals.
You know, one way we've done that in the past is we've had HCC priorities and we've sent those to the commission saying, these are HCC's priorities. We could put a letter with that saying, we'd like you to find room in the budget to support HCC's priorities and maybe to Ann's point, we could ask the commission to say, and city manager, we'd like you to give HCC more access. I mean, we could ask the commission that.
And we have all our priorities listed on our webpage. They were all from our open house. So a lot of those are from the public as well.
I think that's the most effective way, sorry. What we did, Diane, last couple of years, these are of interest to us without talking about dollars and cents, but fund these buckets, transportation, outdoors, recycling, find it in your hearts to fund these and give us more access. I like the, and comma, and let us in earlier, but that's the best way last year was a really good model.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Okay. We'll February may not work. We'll try and squeeze it February, but definitely by March we'll try and have these conversations about if I am understanding this correctly, we want to identify broad issues that we want funded more or less. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's great. We'll move in that direction. Okay. Any other comments on officer reports in general? Okay, seeing none, we will move into new business. And we have a recommendation submitted by Nancy Perry. So if you want to,
If I stand up.
yeah, go ahead.
Talking up, I'm
Go
standing
ahead.
up. Okay, this is my first recommendation, so I expect you to be very kind to me. All right, so District 2 became aware of this problem that the recommendation is addressing when we had our open house at the Civic Center, and this resident came up to Sonda Gobb and was describing it to her. And Sonda realized that I lived a block away from this lady, so she suggested I be the one to find out what the deal was. Okay, so the recommendation is addressing flooding on East Broadway, which is caused by a storm inlet that is unable to accommodate all the water that flows into it or to it when there's been a really heavy rainstorm, or sometimes in the spring when there's an ice melt. You know, that wonderful day in the spring when it gets real warm and all of a sudden water is pouring down the streets. That has a bad effect on East Broadway. Okay. This happens when there's, okay, let me see, the water can't go down the drain fast enough. It can't drain that water away when the water gets to the drain fast enough. And so it begins to accumulate. And if it's a really heavy rain, it actually forms a lake at that spot on East Broadway. Yes.
Tell us where on East Broadway?
The 1000 block. The 1000 block is across the street from Jefferson School.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
So it will form a lake there. And this is a bad deal because East Broadway, even though that's a residential street, it's got an awful lot of traffic on it. It's a lot of people going to the Capitol and back, for example. So it gets a lot of traffic. Luckily, that traffic's not moving very fast because it's a school zone. But even though it's a school zone, when a vehicle comes into that lake, it makes a wake behind it. And when it gets to the deepest point in the lake, which is right where the inlet is, the wake jumps the curb and dumps all this water into the front yards of these two houses that are along there. So it's a really bad deal. And the recommendation, I think you have copies of the recommendation. If you read it, I hope you will read it. It describes what those people are going through with what it's doing to their front yards. It's not a good deal. I believe that when that inlet was built, it was probably every bit big enough to handle the amount of water, because Broadway is a really old street. I have an 1890 bird's eye view map of Helena, and Broadway was on there all the way from the Gulch to Montana Avenue, with the houses drawn on it, including my house, and probably these two little houses that are getting flooded. if they were there in 1890. Jefferson School's not there because Jefferson was built in 1891, so the school isn't there, but you could see the empty lot. Okay, and it was not a problem with the inlet. I believe, at least there wasn't any record of it, and the city engineer didn't mention it. And that's probably because there was very little development beyond Jefferson School as you're going south, which is going uphill, up the South Hills. There wasn't a whole lot of development, and the streets were dirt, and that meant that there was no impervious surface there. And so when it rained, the water was able to drain down into the dirt instead of running down the hill to the inlet. So it wasn't a problem. But now it is a problem because there is more development and there is way more impervious surface along there. The impervious surface meaning the roads have all been paved, particularly around Jefferson School. It's all paved, sidewalks around, safe walks to school, and all of the streets south of Jefferson School have been paved. Not west of Jefferson School, those streets are still dirt, but south of Jefferson, all from Staburn on. Staburn is the street that runs along the side of Jefferson School. And Staburn is 3 blocks long and it runs all the way down to this inlet. It's a 3-block long street. Okay, so now there is a problem because there's so awfully much impervious surface there. And when it rains, the water comes down and it, just as I described, it builds that lake. Okay. Those streets were all paved in that amount of time, and it's also because the footprints of all those buildings they put in there and the paved parking strips and all of that stuff. It's made it almost impossible for the water to find another way to get into the dirt, so it comes down to the inlet. That inlet, I went out walking. This is quite interesting, and I suggest when there isn't snow on the street that you walk out in your neighborhood and see where the storm inlets are. I was stunned at how few there are in Helena. I used to live in Arlington, Virginia, which got a lot of water, a lot of rain, and there were these great big storm inlets all down, I mean, everywhere to take the water. In Helena, they've saved money on storm inlets. There are very few of them there. So I walked up Staburn. I walked the whole 1000 block. The 1000 block is actually 2 blocks long. It's a really, really wide block. And the inlet is right in the middle. So it's 1 block from the inlet to the western side and 1 block from the inlet to the eastern side. And they're sloping down to the inlet. No inlets other than that one in the center. Then I walked up Staburn. It's 3 blocks long. No inlets on Staburn. Staburn has a tributary that is Highland, and there are 2 blocks of Highland that are sloping down towards Staburn. So that's adding more blocks that are contributing water. If you go up another block, it's State Street, and 1 block of State Street is sloping down towards Staburn. So it's a total of 8 city blocks that are dumping water down on this one measly inlet. And it's really creating some problems. So we got in touch with the Public Works city engineer and told him what the issue was. And he sent us an email, which is in the back of the packet. You didn't get it today, but it was emailed to you. You can see the email where the city engineer proposed that the city add 2 more inlets, 2 new inlets to the one that's already there, and just increase the capacity so that it can get that water off the street. So just as much water is coming down, but they're able to get it out of the way rather than creating the lake. And so that's our recommendation. We're endorsing, and if you guys approve it, we're endorsing the engineer solution.
So the engineer solution is in your packet and it's on the screen.
Oh, just not the pictures.
Just not the pictures.
Okay, so his email is in there, and he says, and you know what's really interesting? They didn't mention this to me, but I was doing a bit of sleuthing. I was walking around in the neighborhood because I really was interested in where are these drains. And up on State Street, it's going east towards Montana Avenue. And from Montana Avenue, if you go back down on State Street, half a block, it really is steep, and it goes down, and there's a place, and then it goes back up again with an inlet at the bottom. And so it's a block coming this way and a block coming this way. And much as ours, there's also water coming perpendicular to the street that is, it looks to me like nature has just dug a trench there and water is coming down there. And I saw it and it was two side-by-side storm inlets. They look new. The new ones are a lot bigger than the old ones. And I thought, well, that's really neat, but I didn't think to take a picture of it. So when I got home, I thought, oh, I need a picture. And as you can tell from what I gave you, my pictures are just coming off of Google Maps. And so I got on Google Maps and guess what? The oldest or the most recent picture on Google Maps of that spot on the street is from 1921. And it's an old inlet, just like our old inlet, which means they've had this problem before. And they've just put two inlets together and solved the problem by just chaining a couple inlets together. So hopefully that's what they will do for us. So that's my recommendation. Okay.
All right. Makes sense. So at this point, we'll open up the floor to discussion or questions. Or any discussion or questions?
I just had it kind of sounded like they're going to do it.
If that's only the city engineer saying what they could do.
But they could do.
He has to ask the commission and they have to be willing to spend the money.
Would you all like to see the pictures? I do have them
Yeah.
online.
So, yeah,
that
this
was
is a,
the tree.
don't look more, would you, here's to the first inlet.
So that one
You
is
see,
so
it's a really tiny one. They've got the cutout in the curb and then here in the front, there's a grill just lying in the street. But I think it's the curb here that stops the water long enough so that it could go down inside of this thing. There's another inlet if you would go down one more picture. And I don't know if this actually is intended to drain water away because this is on Staburn and the water is, Staburn's pretty steep. So it's going lickety split by the time it gets there. I don't know really what this one is for. I would, in the recommendation, I talk about this being the other inlet, but I'm really doubting when I look at that, if that really is an inlet, is that maybe a square manhole or something so they can get down in there because it doesn't look like it's going to stop a whole lot of water.
Nancy, these are the two houses directly across from Jefferson.
I'm sorry?
Are these the two houses directly north of Jefferson?
Yeah, would you scroll that down just a tad so we?
Because it also gets covered with, that whole sidewalk gets covered with mud anytime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, that's, when Sonda was telling me about it, I thought, oh, I know that spot. In the winter, it'll have ice on it, just a sheet of ice on it, because water is able to come up
Yeah,
and then.
those folks will shovel and it doesn't matter
Yeah,
because.
it's really very tricky to get past it. I have actually reduced myself to begging some young man like you to walk me over that ice because I really don't want to go. It's really pretty treacherous. So here it is. Here's the two houses that are being inundated. The inlet is right there. So you can see it just comes down Staburn and it hits that inlet right there. And Staburn, it's 3 streets or 3 blocks. This is Jefferson. This is their back. Do you mind scrolling that up a little bit now? Okay, so here's Highland, and I think it was a block on either side of Highland, and they're sloping towards Staburn so that so it can flush all that water down to the inlet and go down just a tad more. And then here's State Street, and there's only one block of that actually will is downhill, and it's dumping the water onto Staburn. Okay.
Yeah, if I can add, I used to live directly next to one of these houses, and I can attest that I've seen the river just come down Broadway. All of a sudden, it happens within 5 minutes. Broadway goes from dry to a river.
It's a gully wash.
Yeah, and that grate that's level with the road gets plugged with leaves and sticks immediately. So that's one of the big problems is that inlet is basically taking all the water when that grate plugs, and it creates a river. It has a current and everything, so
right.
It's a big mess. Sometimes it was really bad in 22 and 24. I remember. So
I suspect this is going to happen in a lot of places in Helena. The real trick when started flooding is when they paved those streets. Before that, the water was soaking in. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Nancy, it just now occurs to me that I offered to get some additional language for your recommendation and
That's okay.
I didn't do it. But to your point that this is probably occurring elsewhere, I would like to suggest that we add a sentence to the recommendation saying this is probably not unique to this location, that the city should do some sort of assessment and identify other locations because the stormwater system may be undersized given the changing climate, and we're getting more intense, more frequent rainstorms, which are overwhelming of what may perhaps be an undersized system. And something to that extent added to the recommendation so that the city doesn't just say, well, it's just this one street. It's because if you think of like on the Upper West Side, some of those north-south streets are well, that come down to Lindale, but the north-south streets, I can't think of one of them right now, like Grant or some of those other streets. They're super, I mean, they may be having the same problems.
Yeah, it does.
Well,
it's
they
not the
obviously
same
had it on
problem.
State Street because there's.
But they
solution
covered
for
their
it.
grades with trash cans.
So I don't know if we could add some like a sentence to the recommendation, if folks are amenable to that.
Okay.
Where would
think
you like
you're-
to add it?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So to Diane's point, I'm impressed that they listened to you, went through a process and are offering a solution. I shouldn't be so pessimistic, but that's brilliant. So part of this tagline is thank you for looking at this specific intersection. Please continue to use this process to identify and resolve other similar issues. I think that's that statement.
Yeah.
That's
Would you
broad
add that
enough
to
to
the
say,
recommendation?
keep doing this process.
Yeah, something like that. I just think, I don't think this is a one-off problem. I think it's a,
It's an undersized
Put
grade.
that, Bob, in the recommendation itself.
It's a trailing, like almost standalone one sentence, because we're recommending this intersection on this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like furthermore,
We appreciate
we
you.
appreciate your approach to settling this. Please continue to do this for any other similar issue. So it's
Okay, did you get that, Peggy?
You could do that.
Just
Yeah.
about. Okay, we appreciate your approach and please continue to utilize this process to improve other areas with these same issues.
Does that sound what you had in mind?
it's a group.
So we're thinking any further discussion? Someone could move to add that in. Go ahead, Lori.
To kind of piggyback on, more rain, more, changing climate, whatever, also increase in building, like especially in this area with that above on State Street, all those new construction, I think is affecting a lot of
Yeah.
that too. With big driveways.
I don't have any further discussion.
Where would you like to add that sentence or two?
At the end.
If somebody wants to move to amend it, they can. We don't have an official motion yet, though, so if we don't get one, we'll move on.
I would move to amend. What Peggy just said.
Well, we'll probably be still changing that.
Or I move to amend.
Did you type that in?
Under findings and need.
I would put it in
This looks like all.
So you want it after the recommendation paragraph?
Yes.
I think on the first page.
Or
we
in the
could go
very beginning page.
Yeah, the concise page right
Right,
there.
right
Yeah.
before we appreciate their consideration, right in-
And
right in there.
I
encourage
see
you to
that.
continue this process. See where it says appreciate?
Yeah.
No.
We appreciate your consideration right before HCC at the bottom.
Yeah,
Oh,
we appreciate
this
and then tag it in.
So right above that, right above we appreciate. Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah, or
So-
within
so
that.
right here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
please continue to utilize this process to improve other areas with similar issues. such as new builds, new roads. Did you want to add that in?
No, I think it was just,
So just period after issues.
yeah.
Maybe if you can type that in there so
Channel
that
it in
people on Zoom
some
can see it.
Okay.
Hang tight, everybody.
What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, the gist is, thank you, keep going.
Yeah.
We hope.
Good job.
This is,
Can we say to identify and improve?
I like that.
yeah, fine.
Identify and address.
And address or improve?
Address. You just love typing in front of other people.
No. Can you tell?
I know, yeah, it's like no pressure.
With similar issues.
Yeah, with similar issues. I'd also like to add a statement saying we anticipate with climate change, this will only continue to be, the problem will continue to increase or something.
Yeah, before the police.
Well,
What if we said we?
I think we need to.
We'll handle this sentence.
Get
and then-
second.
Okay,
and then we
seconded
can
on
move
that.
on.
Oh, okay.
So the motion on the floor, by Goff, right?
Yeah.
Was there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion to amend to include, please continue to utilize this process to identify and address other areas with similar issues. Any discussion on that amendment?
Does that work for you, Bob?
Yes, that's neat.
So with that, I'll just call for unanimous consent.
Yeah.
Right, with no objection, that amendment's adopted. Further discussion?
Were we gonna? A little bit of further discussion on that. Please continue to utilize. Should we say thank you for your action, because he did respond and say we can probably do this. So like Bob said, maybe we should say thanks for your response and please continue to utilize this process or.
Yeah, or we appreciate the city staff's attention to this matter.
There we go.
Yeah, but we did that in the first paragraph.
We appreciate your consideration of this recommendation. Should we change that whole sentence?
So did you want to move to amend to include?
Some sort of thank you. So maybe in that, we appreciate your considerations. We appreciate the city's timely action.
In the first paragraph, though, it's the recommendation regarding the motion of the HCC endorsement of the Public Works Department proposals.
Right.
I don't know how much we really want to fluff them.
Let's get this ironed out first. What?
So
Just
we
because
appreciate the
that's what you
city's
wanted to put in
timely
there.
response
Your timely.
and consideration of this recommendation.
Thank you.
Well, because everyone was kind of surprised at the ending.
Blown away.
And we appreciate the city's timely response
Yeah.
and
That's it. And then get your out of there
and your.
and consideration. Their time. We appreciate their response and consideration of this recommendation.
Is
Period.
that reflecting what you wanted to?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second on that? Okay, we have a motion to amend with a second that includes the city's timely response and any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the amendment's adopted. Any further discussion?
I'd still like to add a sentence about climate change. This is gonna get worse with climate change.
You can move to do that.
I move to add some language. Please continue to utilize this process to identify and address other issues with similar to identify and address other areas with similar issues. In the face of a changing climate, issues such as this are likely to only increase, or I don't know, whatever language sounds good.
Okay.
But something recognizing that the climate predictions are for increased intense summer storms. And if we're an arid high desert climate, and these stormwater systems are designed probably for a very different climate and are likely.
Did you repeat that?
No, can't repeat.
All happens in the face of new climate conditions.
And it is only likely to
Are we putting that in
increase.
this part?
Or
I'd like to add it somewhere in that paragraph we just amended, like to address
I
other
think should
areas
go
of similar
before the
issues.
please continue, because it's a nice lead into the, please continue to utilize this, as this, we say something like, as this issue will likely increase. Given,
Will only be exacerbated with a changing climate or something like that.
yeah, and
urban
increased
development.
population.
I think it's more of an urban development problem than a climate change.
Okay,
But
before we
that's just
get
my
too off track here, can you help Peggy
Yes.
draft what you were trying to say?
Okay, please continue to utilize this process to identify and address other areas with similar issues, as they will likely only increase with a changing climate.
Yes. And increase in development.
Urban development.
Okay, no, I meant, you gotta say that again. After issues,
Comma.
after issues?
Yeah.
The end of that, nope.
No.
Take, back up, come down to here, and we're just going to tack it onto there and make it part of that sentence.
With similar issues, then after,
Comma.
so comma, as this. But you wanna use the word issues again? Conditions.
No.
As this,
As the situation will likely only be exacerbated in a changing climate, or these
urban
issues will only
development. Why
increase.
use the word after?
Okay.
We were just telling you to go.
Hold on,
after.
hold on.
So delete after,
Perfect.
delete the word after.
Diana, can you just type it
Yeah.
for us?
So
I can't say the same sentence 5 times in a row. I just really seem unable to do that. Let's talk about something else, Mike.
Oh, no, we're all gonna watch.
I won't be able to say.
Did you hear me, Cindy?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you didn't hear me. I said, that's what the secretary.
Yeah, that's right.
And urban development.
I would agree to add changing
urban
climate and
development.
increased, and increased population growth. Something like that, and increased urban development.
Yeah.
Urban or development's fine.
Was that all right?
Help
There-
likely,
Urban gets to the page.
Likely.
all right, we're
Yeah,
gonna add
urban.
urban
It's
to that,
about the
Diana.
page, so
Sure.
All
Not the
right,
one.
there is a motion on the floor to amend the recommendation to state. As these problems are only likely to be exacerbated in a changing climate and increased urban development. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this amendment?
Good job. Is only us in there, or only like, or should we just say are likely?
Yeah, I would leave all of it.
It's,
Take it out.
it's your amendment. You can do-
I think I'll take out.
Okay.
I'll take that out.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for unanimous consent again. Is there any objection to this amendment? Seeing none, the amendment is approved. We are back in discussion on the regular recommendation. Is there any further discussion? All right, last call. Jason,
Do we need to? I was gonna move to accept this version of the recommendation and send it off. Do we need to do that?
if my speakers list is exhausted, we just go into an automatic vote.
Okay.
Before we vote, I want to call for public comment. Is there any public comment on this recommendation? See if
No, I can't see the chat when I'm sharing. Something.
Stop sharing. Let's see. Seeing no public comment, we'll move into a roll call vote.
Oh, that's me. Okay, Lori Fitzgerald.
You voted yes.
Yes. No, I know, but there's a term I'm supposed to be using.
Yay.
Aye.
John Andrew. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Diana Hammer.
Yes.
Nancy Perry.
Oh, yes.
Joe Lehman.
Aye.
Sonda Gobb.
Aye.
Ann Hosra.
Yes.
Paige Myers. I don't know if she's still on. You still on, Paige? She's muted.
She said aye in the chat.
Yes,
Thanks.
that's what I was just gonna say.
Emily Mowers.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Bob Schlock.
Yes.
Ben Kuiper.
Aye.
Janet Zimmerman. Can you hear us, Janet? Oh God, don't do it in the chat. I can't see it.
Nothing in the
Janet?
chat from Janet.
Janet, do you vote yay or nay on this document? Oh, well. Susan Stefan? Oh. Do you like the recommendation? Do you vote for it? The way
Yes,
it's-
I do. Yes, I do.
Thank you. Ryan
Sorry.
Schwarber?
Aye.
Rob Hoffman?
Aye.
Bob Haubeck?
I,
Denise?
Aye.
Susan Steffens? Susan, do you vote yay or nay for the recommendation? We can't hear you. Do you want to just raise your hand if it's yes? Okay. Unanimous.
Did you get that, Peggy? Susan said yes as well in the chat. Okay.
All right, the recommendation passes as amended. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And thanks, Nancy, for bringing this forward.
Second that. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move into new items. We are planning on doing a March open house regarding transportation, and we chose transportation because that was identified as the most pressing issue to the individuals who attended our open house last fall. They said transportation is the biggest issue to them in the city. So we have a tentative date right now. We need to get approval from the city manager to get staff time to come and present. So that's still in the works, but we need that by mid-February. So we'll have a better, we'll have it all solidified within the next few weeks, because it needs to be sent out in the water insert that we get in March. So
do you prefer that it's at the library or the civic center? The civic center is got Zoom issues.
is there anybody that's feeling strongly one way or another?
I think that, sorry, this is Emily. I'm online. I just jumped in. I think that the library would be a better option personally. I think that there's good audio visual there that you can utilize, and the room is big enough without being so large that I think people are kind of lost out in the void, not participating.
And I just wanted to add that the outreach committee recommended the library as well for the location.
Especially for the AV and there's parking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, we'll we'll plan on the library then, if we can get the room secured.
And our idea was to have it again on a Wednesday evening during our usual meeting time, and we would have a meeting afterwards, so you don't have to attend something 2 times in a month.
Yeah, so that would be our March meeting.
Just to throw out there, the library does close at 8 p.m. promptly. So if we choose to do a meeting after, we should keep a close eye on the time. And I don't know if that would be feasible hand in hand, just based on the time we choose to do the meeting, which I apologize. I'm not sure what time we're thinking of right now because I've missed the last couple meetings.
No, you're fine. I appreciate that. We'll have to consider that when we plan it. 8 o'clock is kind of tight. But we'll try and plan around that and plan for the library. We'll have a better idea of what we're doing by next meeting.
What we kind of kicked around with the outreach committee was we could maybe run the open house from 5 to 7, then do a short HCC meeting from 7 to 8 or 7 to 7:45 or something and be out. That's what we're thinking.
Does your tentative date avoid spring vacation?
It would, if it matches with our regular scheduled meeting, it'd be the 4th Wednesday of March. I'm not sure if that's
26.
The 4th Wednesday of March. I think when you get towards the end of March, you do start creeping into that spring break time zone. I'm not entirely sure, but we could check the school calendars. One other thing, I know that we started our last outreach event at 4 p.m. I realize that was probably partly due to the fact that we were getting those forms filled out, etc. But we could always start a little earlier with our open house. I know I would be, with this far in advance, I would be able to plan for 4 or 4:30 if we wanted to start a little earlier, so we don't have to rush our meeting as well. Just something to think about.
Okay, yeah. I think once we know for sure that we got the staff time, we can get all those details ironed out with the outreach committee. Yeah. All right, any questions or discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll move on. I wanted to try again to try and get more public input on the budget. I know it's a dry topic and a whole lot of people don't feel like it's something they want to engage with, but I think as much as we can encourage public input, we should. So with the budget committee and the outreach committee, I would hope that this spring we can try and do some sort of event to encourage that. So that's in the works, more or less. Any questions, comments on that? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into unfinished business. Lori, do you want to take this one?
Well, and I kind of mentioned it during my report, but I don't know if we can determine who wants to serve on the budget committee until May we do the letter and we send it to the city manager. I mean, if we want to try to have earlier input and, more impact. I mean, I'm just looking for volunteers, but maybe it could be a better outcome. I'd like to serve on it. Excellent.
Yeah, so if you would like to volunteer for the budget committee, just raise your hand.
Yay.
Oh, okay, just a minute.
Peggy's locking us in.
And then, do you want to say if you're interested in a specific department?
How about we iron that out in a budget committee meeting?
Okay.
Let's think about that.
We'll just take general volunteers for now.
Okay, was that Ben, Sandra, Diana, and
Robert.
And if you are on Zoom and you're interested in budget committee, go ahead and either raise your hand or speak.
Peggy, did you get Robert too?
Yes.
Okay.
Chase. Yeah.
Thanks, Chase.
All right, did we miss anyone?
I would just like to add that we, in addition to getting the budget committee, just encouraging members to suggest budget recommendations between now and May.
just say, hey, I have something I'm interested in and I'd like to propose that. Because some people don't want to serve on a committee or can't, but they might still have ideas.
Yeah, if you do have ideas for a tentative budget recommendation, you can send them to Lori, that would be helpful. She'll compile them and then maybe we can get a preliminary budget document set for our March meetings.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. So with that, we'll move into Commissioner Pendy's reports, December 4th.
That mean?
Yeah, you kind of give us a written report, but if you want to give us like a broad overview.
It was super short, I guess, maybe because of the holiday season. I can't remember what I said, other than it was a very, very short meeting. What did I say in my? I could already wrote it out. So why would I remember it? All right, so I gave brief comments about HCC happenings, primarily officer nominations and another open house. They did approve several appointments to the boards as I listed, and then the city manager had nothing to report. There was a kind of a, thoughtful update by Drenda Nyman of the City County Board of Public Health, and that's all written on here as well, but that's it. I already gave it.
Thank you. December 9th.
I just gave the HCC update. I had to go to DC, so I had to run out of a meeting, give the update, and then run back in, so I wasn't able to stay for the whole meeting.
Okay, thank you. Sean has resigned. He had another opportunity arise, so he's no longer on the HCC, but you can read his summary on the agenda. December 23rd.
You missed Rob. Were you able to go to that? Did you?
Yeah, he went. Hey, John.
No, she was, but she's not here.
All right, January 8th, Janet
Ben?
Zimmerman.
Sorry, Ben. Paige
Go ahead.
did post, I guess, a synopsis in the chats. I don't know if there's anybody there that can read that out loud, but.
Yeah, if somebody could, that would be helpful.
Okay.
I could read it unless
but-
you want to, Ryan.
Yeah, you have at it, Emily. I've been talking all day.
Okay. Paige just let us know that her mic was not working appropriately. She did attend the city commission meeting. She said it was short. Brad Langsather was awarded the Sunny Steiger Wildland Fire Mitigation Award for the second time. The commission accepted the DNRC grant agreement number ACT-25-001 unanimously. There were 4 bids for the city vehicle maintenance shop roof replacement project. The city awarded the bid to Summit Roofing Incorporated. Their bid was $281,750, and the project is scheduled from the spring to August. And the January HPAC meeting was canceled.
All right, thank you, Emily. January 8th, Janet.
Janet and I both tried to log on and the meeting was already over. It was the first time they used their super Zoom. Meeting was over in 15 minutes, so we didn't go on there.
Okay, Nancy with the 13th.
Okay, this was a very pleasant meeting. For one thing, everybody was there. Everybody voted yes on every single thing that they voted on. So there weren't any arguments. It was nothing special about it, except that the mayor gave his State of the City address. That took him about 45 minutes. And in the address he praised the city manager, he praised the commission, he praised HCC. And then he praised each of the departments, and he told for each of the departments what things they had accomplished in the last year and what their goals were for the next year. So that was pretty much his speech. Other than that, it was just a regular one, the claims. I always love to look at the claims and see where we're spending our money. We spend half of our money at the hardware store. So they, in the claims, they tell every single nut and bolt and how much it costs. So it's a lot of fun to read that part. Let's see, the variances was kind of interesting. This lady owns a 44 acre, parcel of land, and it's apparently in the South Hills, and it's right next to a trail, and she wanted it divided in half, and she already lives in a house that's on the downhill half, and water and sewer runs to her house, but apparently it's city code that if you have a separate parcel than city water, if you're within the city limits, sewer and water have to run to the parcel, and she doesn't want to have to run sewer and water to this parcel because she's giving it to Prickly Pear Land Trust, and they're going to use it as kind of a buffer, so that people know that there's the trail. It's not like the trail is right next to somebody's backyard and their dog is always running free on it or something. So she asked for a variance saying, no, you don't have to put water and sewer there, but thank you very much for your land. And so they approved that one. Well, they approved everything. And the rest of it was just, I don't know, just the normal stuff that they do, nothing special. And I get away with that.
All right, thank you. So with the new year, I just want to remind everybody, every year we're required to attend at least one of those commission reports or commission meetings and give a report. Most of the time I'm at those meetings, so if there is a question coming from the commission, I can handle that. So don't worry about getting put on the spot for anything. But it is good just to go to at least one of those meetings a year and kind of see how everything works. The commission has requested of me that I let you know that they prefer you show up in person. It's not required, you can use Zoom, but it's, at least for them, it's more of it's a better engagement when the person's in the room, according to them. So I told them I'd pass that on. So with that, we'll move into coordinator report.
Well, I had John Moore, who I'd worked with on HVAC before. He sent us a note of consideration regarding Hauser Boulevard, where it goes one way near the Civic Center. He wanted it changed back to 2 ways. He lives in District 4, however, it's a District 3 issue. I don't know if you guys want to consider that, or somebody write a recommendation. Do you know the street where I mean?
Where it goes
So it's
into
Benton and Hauser, but Hauser goes just one way away from the Civic Center.
Block north of. It's block north.
So John Moore just wanted it changed back to a 2-way street. Do you guys?
things what?
He said it was started years ago when kids used to drive the drag. And now that doesn't happen.
It's not a stipulated.
The Peggy group, if I'm not mistaken, it has to do with the Great Northern being accessible to the Great Northern, that they were looking for a 2-way instead of 1-way out.
Possibly. I forwarded it to people in both District 4 and District 3. You don't have that in front of you, do you, Chase?
Yeah, so if you are in District 4 or 3, you did get that email, and consider that for recommendation if you'd like to bring it forward.
Oh,
I
you
have
do?
the map pulled up if that's what you're asking for.
Oh, I was just gonna ask for what John wrote. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, I can.
You want me to send it out to all of you again for consideration?
And
There's not enough information to consider.
Okay.
And changing anything with regards to streets and roads is incredibly involved and complicated. And I hope we don't just recommend it because somebody wants it. I hope a lot of thought and research goes into it first.
Well, it's been that way for at least 40 years. It's been one way for that long.
Right, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea to go 2-way, but there's no way somebody should just jump in right now and make a recommendation.
Well, I'm just saying, do you want me to send you what he wrote to us? Would everyone like to see that?
I do have it pulled up, Peggy. I could read it if you would like.
Send it to the district.
No,
Yeah,
okay,
so-
so everyone who's in those districts got it. We'll move on from there.
Okay.
If they want to pursue that, yeah.
And I do need people to fill commission meeting seats. I have February 19th and 24th open. Would anyone like to take those? Would anyone like to take any in the month of March?
Hey, Peggy,
Yes,
what was the 19th? Is that a Monday?
it's a Wednesday.
And then you said the 24th?
A Monday.
24th is a Monday from 6
Yeah.
to 8.
I could do the Monday, the 24th.
Okay,
That's a city commission meeting, right?
correct.
Sign me up for that, please.
The 19th, Peggy.
Okay, thanks, Lori.
Is that one of those, is that at 4 then?
Yeah, 4 to 6.
I not like it was more way.
Okay, then I have March 5, 10, 19, and 24. I can send this to you. I know John Andrew wants to attend some in April, but I don't have that prepared yet.
I can do March 10th.
Okay,
I could do the 24th.
thanks, Chase. All right, and I will just send this out to the rest of you through April then. Oh, did you want to do it, Bob? May 5th? I don't have that printed up yet.
I know the legislature will be over and I.
Okay, I'll put
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm fun. I get paid for it, so.
Okay, we've already discussed the open house topics. I just if we want to utilize that in a water bill, I have, so one side of the water bill insert would say who we are, what we do, and the other side would be free advertising for this open house. So I need to have that by February 14th for the sky within the city. So we will need to decide for sure before our next meeting.
We're talking about the water insert.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we'll have that figured out.
Okay. And that's it for my report.
Okay, any questions for coordinator report? Being none, we'll move into our committee.
I already gave that report.
John's on if you want to.
Yeah, we'll move into committee reports. John, do you have anything for planning board?
So I attended the City County Consolidated Planning Board meeting last night, and they voted on a motion to make a recommendation on a resolution recommending an amendment to the 2019 City of Helena growth policy to include the railroad district neighborhood plan. So that motion passed, and then it goes on to the city commission for them to address that amendment.
You. Page is not on, right?
No, but Emily just had to get off, but she did mention that Paige said there was no HPAC meeting.
Okay. PCB? No, it's not meeting. I mean, solid waste.
This is, I don't go to those meetings, but somebody who does gave me some notes, and the joint commission meeting to present the integrated solid waste master plan was in early December. The commissions, there was a large item in the plan for a warm storage building that the Public Works Department has asked for quite a few times over the years, to have this big, kind of like a Quonset hut type of a building over at the transfer station to have all the trucks in there and keep them warm. But they were also making it a grand building. It was a lot of money. So the commissioner said no to that. They don't want to fund that. And so what they've decided to do is they've removed the warm warm truck storage and concentrate instead on a building for keeping the recyclables out of the elements, like the cardboard that's in there, and to house the baler when they get one, and to also provide a break room, a conference room, and bathroom facilities. A truck warming storage facility is still desirable, but they'll build it elsewhere and sometime down the road. So they're just proceeding with this plan. That there used to be a committee that met over the last few years, and that's over now. So now they're just going to proceed with what's in the integrated solid waste master plan.
Thank you. Library board. Anna's not on it.
Anna's not here tonight. She had to travel.
Okay. Golf.
I was able to attend the meeting yesterday by Zoom. So I did double duty. I was on my lunch break and went to the meeting on Zoom. The duties of the discussion was there were duties of all board of officers was discussed. Length of time, length of office afterwards, length of office of terms. And they discussed bylaws and Article 4, Section 4, and I don't know whose bylaws, it must be the board's bylaws. And the annual election of officers and election of officers, they voted Jack as chairman and Susan as secretary. And I didn't catch the vice chair. Unfinished business donor was, they need lots of money. Golf course needs lots of money. They're going to do a raffle this summer. Tickets are going to be sold at the pro shop. Appreciation Saturday. The water has to do with that, the raffle, and it has to do with raising money for the water stations that they want to create. Reports cross country skiing is doing well. Simulators are struggling. They've had troubles with them. Technology is outdated. They want to spend $55,000, and the completion of the project is in July. For those simulators at the golf course in the Muni tournament, the calendar is full for 2025. Financial update for the fiscal year is plus $7,000, and the pro shop merchandise is coming in now, and the course will open in mid-March. The next golf advisory is February 18th.
Thank you. Is Pat on for Parks Board?
No, she's not on tonight.
Okay. Water Quality Protection District.
We haven't met since we last met, but we meet next week. So next month I'll have 2 reports.
Okay. Did anyone go to any MPO meetings?
I know it's problematic for those persons that work. So
yeah,
isn't it at some weird time like 3 o'clock?
It is, and probably after session I can be more available, but I'm a state government drone. And
okay.
Okay. Did anyone go to any committees that didn't report? Okay. I had a brief report. So after somebody got struck by a vehicle crossing, trying to go to the Capitol, there was a committee hearing revolving around safety in the Capitol District. It was very short notice, so one of the senators reached out to me and some of the commissioners for city stakeholders to go to that meeting and listen. And from my understanding, MDT is planning to put a pedestrian signal crossing at 5th Street and at Broadway. From my understanding, there won't be one at 6th, so you have to go up to 5th for it, but it's one of those ones that the pedestrian pushes and the lights start flashing. So hopefully that will make that area more safe, because it is extremely dangerous. I don't know the answer to that. I would hope it's permanent, but I don't know. Yeah. So that, from my understanding, is going to be covered completely by MDT. So I don't think it's a city expense at all.
Ben, do you know, like back in the 23 session, they painted crosswalks, they put up signs, and then they were up for maybe 2 months, and then they painted over, like with black paint, took down those signs. They left like little stubs, which was nice because then they put them back up. And I've never gotten a logical explanation for why they took those down. And I know one of the impetuses for originally erecting them was a state legislator was hit crossing Breckenridge and Tanner. But it was a very weird about place, and there was no explanation. And we have some folks, Nancy, in our district who have a lot of opinions about things. So I heard 15 different rumors, but never anything that would seem logical.
Yeah, I've never had a straight answer for that either. I worked in the Mitchell building, which was right next to the Capitol, and they used to have crosswalks there as well, and they painted them over. From what I understood, it's a jurisdictional fight between the city, county, and the state. So I don't know the specifics between that.
Yeah. I mean, it's during session, it's a little hairy around the Capitol.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous area, especially when everyone's commuting before sunup. So
Right.
yeah.
You know, when there's a hot hearing, it's like 7 a.m., people are flying into the parking lots, so.
All right, any comments, questions on committee reports? Seeing none. Is there anything for the good of the order before we adjourn?
I have a suggestion. Could we have a standing agenda item that at the very end saying any ideas or topics for the next meeting? Maybe just because I have one next meeting. I'd like to invite someone from the Trails Alliance to talk about a right of way over on the Upper West Side where it has to do with LeGrand Canyon, so it would protect that from development. So I'd hope to have it on this agenda, but we couldn't quite get the recommendation together. So expect to have that ready for February.
Were you hoping to get them as kind of a guest speaker or just as somebody to be there for a recommendation?
Just there to briefly introduce the recommendation.
Make that happen. Thank you.
And can I recommend a change in that listing since the solid waste master plan meetings are no longer occurring? We could probably take that. Okay. And I just want to make an observation that since the city cherry picked Robert's Rules of Orders and redefined quorum to be not the number of members that are currently on a board. Like, let's say you have a 9-member board but only 7 people are on that board and there's 2 vacancies. Robert's Rules of Orders and pretty much everywhere else says that a quorum is the majority of the 7 members. The city, in its quest, my opinion, to reduce public participation even further, changed the definition of quorum to be the number of seats on the board. So if you have a 9-member board and there's only 7 people on it, you cannot have a meeting unless you have the majority of the 9 seats.
Wow.
And that's being discussed tomorrow as well. As part of the charter conversation? Not the charter, but it's in their bylaws, the city's bylaws or something. Well, I hope so. But so the effect, I personally believe the desire was to prevent these meetings from occurring or to reduce the number of these meetings. That is just my personal opinion. But the reality is that a lot of these boards are actually not able to meet because they do not have a quorum under the new definition of quorum. So whether or not that was the intention of the city, it certainly was the effect. So it's something that I'm not sure that we can weigh in on that, but I just think as members of the HCC, we need to be aware of these sort of bureaucratic changes that are made to things that have a true impact on citizens' involvement in the city. And the other reason why they're not meeting the quorums is because they removed HCC members from all the boards.
Right.
So.
Well, and adding, just if I could just piggyback on that a little bit, I mean, then the city is responsible for appointing the new board members. And if the city isn't appointing the new board members to bring it up to the 9-member board, it will just sit there with 7 unable to meet. Or 5, right. Or I mean, that's what happened with the NIMTAC board, I think. They never could meet again because they didn't reappoint the missing members, so they never had a quorum, they could never meet. So it's just kind of this hamster wheel of not inactivity.
Yeah. You can see all the openings. They did just post them in the paper, and you can also see them online if you look at the city's website. There's but it just as for those relatively new to HCC,
a long, long time ago, HCC members were actually required or highly encouraged to serve on other advisory boards because the city recognized that they were having a hard time filling those positions. And now they've done an about face and they've removed us all for nefarious reasons. And so consequently, some of these boards are just not meeting because they can't.
Hmm.
So fait accompli, city.
And I'm not a member of the golf committee, but I do go to the meetings, so I do keep this committee informed as much as I can.
Right.
What's going on with the golf. I know it's interesting.
We used to have voting rights. That's what they took away, but all those meetings are always public, so we can always attend.
Yeah,
We just don't have a voting right.
we want to encourage people to regularly go to those and report back to us in these committee reports because they're very, it's very valuable information that they're talking about at those committees. So. And then I guess on that note, with the same policy change that they made with the quorum, you also have to make a certain amount of meetings in person. That affects the HCC as well. So if you're on Zoom, I can't remember off the top of my head what percentage it is, but I think you can only do around 1/3 of the meetings over the course of a year remotely. If we can get clarification on that, send it
Yeah,
out
if
to
you want to
everybody.
ask on Friday,
Yeah,
I think you have the ability to say they're excused.
Yeah, so
as the
there,
chair.
there's a caveat in that policy that if you are above your allotted amount of remote participation meetings, you can reach out to me and give me a reason and I can approve it. So there is that caveat. We just have to start tracking it. And if you are on Zoom, you have to have your camera on as well. Sorry, I forgot about that today to enforce that, but it's city policy. So is there anything else before we adjourn? All right, seeing no hands raised, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Everybody. Yeah, on something. Not
Yeah.
Yes. Back at the. Back at the.